Dr. Jamina, very good evening to you. Thank you for being on the show. So for those of us who don't exist within the space that you are in, is it common for something like a health emergency to begin to have an impact on global markets?
I won't say it's common, but it has been seen in the past. The most classic example that people are referring to now was the outbreak of the SARS disease virus back in 2003. And that did create upheavals in the markets and, according to certain studies, cost the world economy somewhere between $400 billion and $1.4 trillion. Or, in the worst case, it was over 1% of GDP.
And is this biting, the coronavirus outbreak, is it biting globally because it is in China specifically or another market of that magnitude?
It's specifically, I think, more than anything, because it's in China. People have been scared about something going wrong in China for many years because it is such an important driver of economic growth throughout the world. And now if you find whole big cities and provinces being cut off from the rest of that country, let alone China being cut off from the rest of the world in terms of banning travel to other countries to avoid spreading the virus, you're talking about a potential negative hit of significant proportions on the Chinese economy, and that can reverberate right through the world economy.
In South Africa, we've not reported any cases of the coronavirus, but we're not completely safe from the effects, especially now that it's having financial ramifications. Is there anything that we can do to try and protect ourselves or minimize the impact?
Well, fortunately, we've got a very efficient private healthcare system, and we have got a lot of the technology with which to scan people coming in from China and that or related countries, and that should assist us in preventing the outbreak from taking place in South Africa too quickly. But ironically, there can be some positive benefits, and that is we can see the price of gold has shot up. Mm-hmm. But more than that, the price of oil has plummeted. So motorists can look forward to lower petrol prices next month precisely because of this.
So I suppose every cloud has a silver lining then?
That is the beauty about economics. Every cloud has a silver lining, and every bright day has a cloud at the end of the day.
81 people and counting now confirmed to have died, especially a majority of them, in fact, are in China, as I believe. At this point, would there be merit, as far as the markets are concerned, to the calls for a declaration of an international health emergency? Would that cause further panic market-wise, especially looking at how China tends to dictate the direction of emerging markets?
I think you're quite perceptive in saying that to call a state of emergency worldwide on this could create a lot of panic. Already, I mean, I'm quite alarmed that President Trump has gone and offered as much assistance as he can to China. This is the US, which has been embroiled in a trade war with China. It means either that he's trying to play a game or that he's extremely concerned about the ramifications of this.
And I want to go back to that earlier point about health and the economy, because at a broader level, if a population is unable to work in a market as big as China, where entire cities have essentially ground to a halt, people unable to use the bus service, for example, it will ultimately affect them production-wise as well. Am I right?
Absolutely, and indirectly, and that's the negative side for ourselves. If China starts producing less, then it will demand less of the commodities that we sell to China, and so it can have a negative impact on South Africa as well. And this is why there has been a scamper out of the rand, for example, because and other emerging markets, because those commodity producers who sell to China could feel the draft quite badly.
The ever-volatile rand. Generally then, Doctor, just final question. Going further into 2019, what should South Africans be looking out for, especially at a currency level? We're dealing now with a health emergency in China, of course, but there are other things further down the road, aren't there?
There are. This is regarded as a black swan event. The fact is that the world's leading central banks have been artificially trying to keep a world economy growing and growing with incredibly low interest rates, other than a few countries like South Africa, for a very long time. And that is creating all sorts of distortions, including rising inequality between those who benefit from rising financial asset prices and those who are just ordinary workers and don't have access to financial markets. This kind of event can actually create an upheaval that has knock-on effects on all these other artificial constructs that have been created to try and keep the world economy growing. And that is what is quite scary. It's early days. We're trying not to panic at this stage, but it does have the potential to be a game changer.
So keep calm and hope for the best, Dr. Azar Jammine. Thank you so much for being on Nightline this Monday.